So a bit about happiness. I'm also a bit conflicted about this topic because it's often represented as the holy grail, the end state of being, so to say. But as you've learned by now, there's a state beyond that. So when you are talking about the normal distribution, which is this beauty of a thing, happiness is often over here. Happy, so to say, but this too shall pass, as they say in Buddhism. So you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. In the end, you're looking to ride with the flow, whether that's up or down. So be content, so to say, whether you feel good or whether you feel bad. Realize that these are emotions and that you as an energetic being are beyond the state of your biological and physical social state, so to say. Yeah, so that said, I do want to explain more, of course, about happiness and joy and how to acquire these things and how to improve them, so to say. So let's dive right in. 9 topics in this chapter. The first one is a short introduction. Then we're going to talk about several circuits in your brain and archetypes, so to say, and how they relate. What kind of juices is your brain creating that makes you feel happy? Dopamine you've already met. Then a quick trick to improve the power of happiness and to apply it in your life and to how to increase it. The positivity ratio, so how you can adjust your happiness and unhappiness or positive and negative moments, so to say, and how to supplement this. Then number 7, how to make your own happiness. Once again, the main message is connect with your authentic core. And then a powerful hack, gratitude, that boosts your happiness and even more than that. It's a gut feeling, so to say. And then a fun fact. No idea why I added that, but might be some cool insights about buying happiness and the relationship between money and happiness. Yeah? So, bam, a bit about happiness. Happiness is often stated as the essence of feeling at ease in one's own mind. And feeling at ease can be an up in certain cases. Some people feel at ease when they feel down. In general, I do suggest to keep a balanced approach because when you're balanced, you are more capable to adjust to your surroundings. You're less in the emotional, biological state, you're more in your higher state of being, so to say. So essence of happiness is feeling at home in one's own mind. Also, while being content with what you have in the present, with a healthy desire towards the future. So remember the example of Bicycle Boy being at crossroads, so to say. We were here. This was Bicycle Boy. Bicycle Boy was content with now, but he was also watching towards the future where he set some flags. So it's a mix of both realms. You have these imaginative powers, so you gotta use them, so to say. Don't get lost in the future because then you neglect the power of now. If you're fully aware in the now, you often tend to integrate the future as well. The trick of the quantum approach, but that we use for our next class. So nothing is wrong with you when you feel down. Feeling down is part of the journey. Your state of or your brain is not developed to keep you happy. Your brain is evolved to protect you, to keep you safe, so to say. So your primary brain, your monkey mind, often sees the risks and tends to do that what keeps you safe, not happy. Yeah? So a better world starts in your head. Your inner state of mind is significant. So research indicates that only 10% of long-term happiness is determined by your surroundings. 90% is internal. So 90% of your happiness lies within yourself. Yeah? It is, of course, heavily influenced by your state of mind. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. So in the end, it's about freedom, the freedom to readjust your balance and choose your attitude in any situation. I do want to show you these blue zones, so to say. on this chart, there are several blue zones around the world where the people live the longest and they give their lives the highest grade. Some common denominators there is that they often tend to focus on growth in their inner journey and connect with their inner core. A second thing they also do similar is that they spend a lot of time in nature. So they do gardening, nature walks, etc. And then thirdly, the social element. There are tight communities where being a social being is also a vital part of, well, having a rich life, so to say. So nurture a mindset that embraces the present moment, that focuses on the future as well, and prioritize activities and alignments or choices that align with your core values. Also, remember, dopamine juices, etc., are for short term. But let me explain it. So you've got 4 circuits of happiness, so to say. Let me zoom in for a sec on the images here. So you will probably see them here as well. So you've got 4 juices that makes you a happy brain, so to say. So the first one you've met, that's dopamine. That's all about intentions and the short-coming highs, so to say. Then you've got endorphin or serotonin, sorry. That's for regulating your mood, your sleep, your well-being. Positive emotions, positive thoughts, that's the serotonin. Then you've got the endorphin. Let me check. The endorphin, yeah, that's the third one up. That's all about resilience. So what do you do when you get a punch? How do you get some flexibility in that? And then fourth, but definitely not last, oxytocin. And oxytocin is about the altruism. So that's the more of me towards us, the all for one versus the one for all approach. Yeah, and these mixtures can be activated in multiple settings. Dopamine, we've already discussed. Dopamine is when you want to hit a target that's in your future or your near future or perhaps even the further future. Dopamine always wants more, more, more. So if you want a more long-term or if you want a more long-term solution, then definitely mix in the serotonin and the endorphins and oxytocins as well. Realize though, however, that our current society is arranged in such a way that you are after dopamine driven. So every time it's more in the near future, bigger house, bigger car, or perhaps get that chocolate out of the fridge or get that bag of chips, etc. Yeah. So my suggestion here would be, if you approach happiness on a biological level, mix these 4 activities. So once again, dopamine for your first hit in the next future. So to reach sort of a goal, so to say. Then serotonin for the positive and happy feelings, positive emotions, and to rephrase the negative thoughts into the positive ones. Then you've got endorphin. Endorphin is about resilience, about movement, about physical exercise, laughter, all those things. And then fourthly, oxytocin, altruistic things, so helping others in whatever you feel is right. Yeah. So those would be the 4 circuits of happiness. They can be translated into a model that's often used. The third point are the 4 archetypes of happiness, the 4 types of people you generally see when you are talking about happiness. So let me open up this model here as well. We've added a video of the original creator explaining the model, so I don't go too deep, and it pretty much is self-explanatory. But for you, just check this overview and see whatever type matches you the most. Are you a red racer? Are you living for the future? Go, 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 more, more, more. Fight and flight. So I want, or I need. That's like the red racer. Nihilism is like you live in the past, everything has happened to you and not caused by you. You are helplessness and you are just a mere influence, or you are mere a product by your environment. It's sort of the O or you approach. Then the hedonist, that's like, okay, I might die by the end of the day, so fuck it all, so to say, literally in some cases. They live for the present and they think about, they are mainly pleasure orientated. So pleasures of the body and mind, so to say. They are ignoring the bliss component. Bliss would be the spiritual approach, where you step out of the individual desires and tend to look at the collective. So that's an entirely other level that a hedonist might miss. If you combine the hedonist and rat race and the nihilism, you might aim for the happiness, the upper right column, the green one. And that's where you mix all these elements, the present as well as the future and the past, so to say. And you focus on the now and on the journey. So you focus on the verbs and not so much on the nouns, as discussed before. So those are the 4 archetypes. I do wonder, which do you currently feel most affiliated to? Remember, this is a flexible model. So someday you might feel like rat racing, someday you might feel like an hedonist, someday you are happy. But I do want to note that happiness, and I like this example of the boat. So let's draw some water here. A sailing ship. This is me. And draw. Okay, no idea what I'm doing here. This is a keel, the anchor that, or the thing that steers you, that keeps you balanced on the water. This is called the negative exposure, so to say. This one keeps you straight when the wind comes right at you. This one, the positive, is for when the wind is blowing in your back, so everything runs smoothly. However, life doesn't always run smoothly, so you need the negative and the keel, as well as the positive, the sail. Yeah. So yeah, the power of happiness, one could say, is to open up the mind by engaging with these juices like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, etc. You open up new neural pathways. So there's a good exercise to witness this yourself, and that goes as follows. Go to a news website or take a newspaper or whatever and focus on the negative news. Start reading them and really empathize, like, okay, why am I so sad about it? And try to vision it. So focus on the negative first. Then figure out how would you solve these problems. So write down the problem that would solve that negative news. Then take a few minutes rest and start focusing on positive thoughts. So connect with positive memories, like what are the most beautiful things in your life. Do this for a few minutes as well, and then get back to your solutions. You will see that you can create more solutions to the problems because there are new neural pathways created because you increased these biological sources, these juices, dopamine, etc. So it's a cool trick to witness the power of happiness, and you can apply this in everyday life, of course, as well. So if you feel down and if you see no escape, try to activate these juices. So that can be done with gratitude practice, as I will show you in a sec, which is, in my opinion, the most powerful and potent one. You can do things like act kindness. You can do mindfulness meditations. You can do social connections, so talk with people about it. And in general, it's activating your prefrontal cortex, your higher being, and do the activities that enter your rest and digest mode. So take a rest, in short. Yeah, do the things that you love to do. The positivity ratio. So then I'm talking about how much percentage should you be, or are you in general in the negative, and how much are you in the positive. It all depends on the situation that you are in. But here, let's give you some standards, so to say. So yeah, the positivity ratio in general would be 3:1. So 3 positive experiences as opposed to negative experiences. And that's how you, or sorry, 2:1 is for the general population, so to say. 3:1 is the one when people call themselves happy. If you want to build trust in your relationship, aim for 4:1. So do your partner 4 happy moments and do your partner 1 negative moment, so to say. In your social connections, this is 5 to 1. And in teams, so at work, that's even 7 to 7 to 1. So if you screw over a colleague, you need at least 6 positive encounters with this colleague thereafter again to compensate your previous behavior. So your spouse is more forgiving and you are even more forgiving to yourself. You only need 3 positive experiences. But the same concept applies to your own story as well. So if a colleague screws you over, that you are less forgiving towards that colleague. However, do realize that you're not so forgiving towards yourself as well. You do need positive experiences to shape your story. However, remember, you also need negative to keep your resilience up and to keep your sailboat steady when wind is heading towards you, so to say, when the wind is not in your back. So that's it about the positivity ratio. How can you increase this positivity ratio? Let me speak for a moment. You can definitely supplement this, so to say. And there are several counter tricks. So I would say you've got the harms. So avoid harms. You've got rewards. And you've got others. And these are examples from Rick Hanson's book, which is about happiness. Then you've got the negative parts and you've got the positive parts. Negative, positive, negative, positive. So if you feel weak, then switch to something that gives you strength. And these are like the duh moments, but remember this, see this as a mental, or perhaps even print it out and write it down somewhere. So if you feel weak, start doing something that makes you feel strong. And that can be a physical activity as well as a mental activity. So if you feel like, oh wow, and when you encounter somebody and that person is, you feel weak against that person, think about the things that makes you you and that you can do better than that person. Even if that person can do everything better than you, remember, you are still the better you than that person will ever be. And you run your own ship, so to say. So that person will never be the best you that you can be. If you feel helplessness, or start doing the opposite things. If you are alarmed, try to seek protection. If you feel anxiety, fear, or worry, start relaxing. So drop your pen, so to say, and do nothing. If you feel contaminated, so dirty, so to say, start cleansing. If you are quick activation of your fight and flight system, or if you are sensitive, trying to activate your rest and digest system, those are all here. The tables we will share in the slides as well. The reward system, however, so if you feel sad, or if you feel frustrated, or if you feel like a failure, or boredom whatsoever, well, boredom you can easily do feel rich in a moment. Just appreciate that you're alive. Some people in that same time would love to switch places with you. So imagine a diver stuck underwater without breath. Just think about the fact that you in this moment in time have breath, and upgrade that, of course, to vision or health, or think about all the things that you are enjoying in that particular moment that others don't have and they would almost die for, so to say. That would be their final wish. If you feel fail, think about your successes. That's the opposite. Frustrated, think about your goals. Why do you do what you do? So the frustration is just one of the thresholds, or just one of the walls in front of your goals. And if you feel sad or disappointed, think about beauty, gratitude, once again, It's pretty much the same concept apply for boredom, so to say. And the same with attaching to others. But here's the table. If you want to look closer, just hit the pause button and scan for it for a while. Yep. So that's how you switch between positive and negative. If you're like up all the time and want to build resilience, also dive into your darker mode now and then. Yeah. Try to get to those healthy ratios. So open yourself fully up to these experiences and explore these new insights. Try to play around with it, and let me get to how to make your own. And that's how to make your own happiness, so to say. Of course, other tips are do what you love. Stop comparing yourself, as comparison is the thief of all joy. Make a list of the things that you love to do and start doing those things. Grant yourself this life, I would say. So don't only think about the fight and flight. Also think about recharging your battery in rest and digest. And be around those things or activities that bring you happiness. Buying happiness, I will do a separate session about gratitude. It's such an important one. I will dive in a bit more in that regard. So buying happiness, there's a famous research that says that everything higher than $75,000 won't contribute any more than your happiness. Until you've reached that, money is an important factor to contribute to your happiness. It buys you the freedom, and I think that is some interesting. That for me, that's like the way to see money. It opens up my spectrum of possibilities. But after the threshold of $75,000, you don't need that bigger yacht or that mansion to give you more happiness, so to say. That's all the rat race approach. The bigger house, the bigger car, etc. So it allows you, how can money buy happiness? Well, of course, spend it on others. So you gain up a few gratitude levels, so to say, empathy, compassion. They activate the mental juices. So dopamine, serotonin. Spend it on experiences, do the things that you love, activities that you love. Also, you can buy back your time, as mentioned before. You can buy back freedom to do whatever you want to do. But $75,000 is the borderline, and we will drop the research in further readings. Other than that, of course, you can prioritize health, invest in personal growth, give to charity, creating memories for a lifetime. So I think this was quite a long rant about happiness. Definitely try some of these positive, negative ratios. So flip your positive experiences for negative. If you think like you're only happy and you want to build more resilience, do it. Probably is it the other way around if you want to improve your positivity in your life. So look at these tables and try to memorize them, that if you feel down, then do the exact opposite approach. Yeah, and you will see it works within minutes and it becomes automation. So that's a wrap for now. I will see you in the next part. And in the next part, we're going to dive into... Ooh, this is an interesting one. Before we go into gratitude and compassion, let me show you the game of life. How to unravel your inner world, so to say. And how happiness and joy is just a mere fraction of this game. Looking forward to this one. Cool. See you there.